was scheduled all week, and I was like, I really want a day off. So I asked one of my coworkers to cover one of my days, and he did. And so then I was like, okay, well, I have nothing to do today. I'm just gonna clean, I'm gonna do laundry and stuff.
I want the toilet looking like one of those chairs from the Men in Black headquarters.
And as I was doing dishes, my phone was in my room, and I was getting a call, and I was like, oh, who's calling me? And it was my friend named Rob. So this guy, we never talked, but we went to school together. I always thought that he was like too popular for me, like he was way too cool and like way too cute to ever talk to me, and he never talked to me, so I always thought that. And then I think a few years ago we randomly started talking about spiritualism, but that's literally it. It never went further, we never flirted. He's not really that type of guy, and I'm not really that type unless somebody comes on to me. It would never be like consistent because he's always so busy and he's traveling and he never gets on Facebook. He's not a good like responder. I'm not that great either. So it's just kind of like here and there, like every few weeks or months or whatever we would talk. We've never even hung out in person. Yeah, I came to my room and it was him calling me. He asked me if I wanted to go to a breathwork gathering type of thing. I'll put the event here so you guys can understand more. I barely understand it myself. I'm just going. I love spiritualism and all that type of stuff. I've just never had like the opportunity or the people to go with to these events. I really am excited. I went to one group meditation a couple years ago with my sister, and that was such an amazing experience, and I'm really sad I've never done it since. It's an hour and like a half away. I'm gonna try to document as much as I can of the experience. I don't want to be disrespectful during the process. I will see how it goes and I will let you know. Wish me luck. See you later. So I forgot to mention that he only called me and invited me because his friend bailed. So it was like super random. He's never called me before. I'm nervous, but more so just because really hard for me to do things on the spot without being planned, and all of these like things that I have to remember to bring. I don't know, it's just weird. Usually I plan things really well. I don't know why I just said yes. I mean, it is something that I know I will love. Just super nervous about the drive there because I realized that it's gonna hit 5 o'clock while I'm driving there, and that's the worst traffic times. I'm wearing my favorite pair of leggings. Yeah. I have to leave right now. So, I'm in the mountains. I did not know it was gonna be in the mountains. Some guy's watching me right now, so this sucks, but holy, I wish I could have like recorded the drive a little bit in the mountains because it was so beautiful. And here, look at this. This is what I'm looking at.
I like that boulder. That is a nice boulder.
It's hard to get up this hill. It's just terrifying. I only have a Chevy Impala. I don't have a Subaru Outback, so it was kind of embarrassing getting up here, but I made it. My car's okay. The only problem is Rob has not answered me, so let's pray to God I didn't come here for no reason. I would go to the event without him if he didn't show up, but the tickets are $40 and he has the tickets, so we'll see if he shows up. It is like 6:25 right now and it's supposed to start at 6:30, so. Can't remember how to get to my car. Okay, I see my car. Over there. Okay, so me and Rob got separated when we went to the bathroom before we started. We're sitting really far away from each other. I didn't even know he was in there. I couldn't see him. We were doing an exercise, and he partnered up with this girl who's next to him, so he already met another girl, and they're like hitting it off. But we never even talked like that at all. We're just friends. So it just took me forever to walk up here, and I have to go all the way back down, try to eat this, and go to the bathroom. But yeah, Right now we're just having a little intermission before we start the whole entire process of breathwork. Look at this. You can't see how magnificent it is, but it's so nice in here.
That is a nice boulder.
I really don't know where to start. Since my ass has to pee so much, I had to stop and go pee, but I don't even want to vlog. I want to go back in. It is the next day. So, I wanted to tell you guys about my experience. I honestly wanted to tell you about the whole experience as it was happening so badly because, or like right after, I planned to vlog it in my car and just talk and talk and talk because immediately after the event was like my prime of knowing exactly what to say about it. Turned out me and Rob like just kept talking and talking after the event. And then he was like, I'm really hungry. And I was like, ooh, but I brought a sandwich, you know. Like, I was planning on just driving back home. And he was like, well, I'll buy you food. I was like, okay, of course. Like, I'll take that offer. So we went to this place in Boulder called Boss Lady Pizzas. Why did I say that word? Boss Lady Pizza. Boss Lady's Pizza? I don't know. But it was super good pizza. And by this time it was like midnight almost, and I left to drive back to Fort Collins. I want to describe to you from the beginning, I guess. So they started off with saying, alright, so everybody pick a partner. If you're not comfortable being touched, then let them know, and you don't have to do this. And I got paired up with a middle-aged woman, and it was amazing. She was really nice, and I wanted to demonstrate to you guys what exactly that was like. Imagine that my dog is standing like this. So they said we're gonna start with Earth, and with Earth you're gonna kind of get small knuckles, and you're just kind of gonna knock on that person. So on the arms, and then you like go down to their back, to their legs, like that. And just like, you have loving intent and energy while you're doing this, so like you're just kind of like massaging love into them. And then it was water. So then that was just kind of making the illusion of the feeling of water on the person, on their arms, and then on their back and their legs. Okay, so that's water. And then there was fire. So they didn't really have a good one for this. They like said to like just kind of rub their skin gently, kind of like something that felt like fire, or maybe like massage them or something. And then there was air. So that was just very lightly tickling them on their arms and then on their legs and their back. You basically had to make sure you were comfortable with the person you partnered up with. I hate feeling like guys go to spiritual events to hit on women. It's not okay, and it's not fun to be a woman and have to try to deal with that. So after that is when we started the breath work. Basically, they went through a description of what we were going to be doing. They let you know that tonight we are going to be taking in more air than letting out, which it allows you to like build up energy or release energy in a better way. Like pretty much they describe it as you'll have a really dry mouth at first and you won't know what's going on, and your body will kind of be questioning what's happening. But what's going to be happening is your mind is going to be reminded that it's just a passenger and your body is really in control. So after their whole like spiel about it, describing it to us, whatnot, so it's after we had the whole partner warm-up kind of relaxation thing, we had a break so that anybody could go to the bathroom, whatnot. I was really hungry, I went and got a banana, that's what I recorded. When I came back, they were starting to do the relaxation into the breath work. Basically just getting comfortable laying down on the floor. There was a bunch of pillows that were available to get comfortable with. I brought my own neck pillow, and then I used other pillows as well to put like one under my butt and then one under my head, and then I was comfortable after that. I had a blanket. Basically what they mean by you'll be taking in more air than you're letting out is you're not going to let out your exhale fully. So you're going to be inhaling like longer than you're exhaling. Inhale and then exhale. Inhale and then exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale lasts longer. It's like when he came over to me, they went around to kind of make sure everybody was doing it right, make sure people were okay, and he kind of told me not to strain so much when I was taking the inhale in, not inhaling to the point where I'm straining to inhale. So literally just go. So no strain, try not to strain it. Another thing he kept saying was let it take over. I can't remember what he was saying. It sucks that I have such bad memory. This happened last night. Mind you, Rob was nowhere near me this whole time because when we got separated at the bathrooms, he took a long time, and later I found out that it's because he waited for me, but I also waited for him. So it was just a confusion. We didn't know if the other was still in the bathroom or not. So, but he ended up a little bit later than I was. He was with that girl, completely opposite of the room that I was. So this entire like breath work experience had nothing to do with Rob, which is honestly good because it would have affected me a bit, simply because I've always like kind of thought he was very attractive, but more in like a friendship way and in like a way where he's definitely my type, but I feel like I'm not his type, if that makes sense. I'm not gonna push myself on to anybody, so I was kind of glad that he wasn't near me during this journey because it gets deep and it gets personal. Basically what happens is when your body's taking in more oxygen than letting out, you start to get tingly everywhere. And for me, I started to get scared once this started to happen, because the two other times I started to feel my lip tingle was when I was gonna pass out from crying so hard. The first time I was crying so hard after my ex left me, that was the worst time of my entire life. I can say that guaranteed. Nothing haunts me more. Anyway, the second time was when I was getting, I think the second derm, like they tell you need to take deep breaths in and out and stuff like that, and I've never tried to like train my breathing or like know how to breathe right. So when I was getting this pierced, I was breathing heavily and I don't think I was exhaling fully because I was just kind of really panicked. My top lip started to go numb again, and I was like, I know this feeling, we need to take a break. Breathing for so long like that I started to hyperventilate, and we had to take a break. Yeah, it really scared me when I started to feel my face started to tingle, but it wasn't like specifically just my top lip like it was the other times when I was hyperventilating. So I was kind of like, this is weird. It doesn't feel like I'm necessarily gonna pass out. it just feels very different. So I decided to keep going. When I got deeper into it, I would say after maybe 10-20 minutes. First of all, let me say this. At first, it's hard. It's hard to feel like you're doing it right. Like you don't know what is the right rhythm. And so for a while, I was just trying to find the right rhythm. And like if it felt right to breathe in through my nose or not. And eventually, like, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but my nose got too cold to breathe into and out of, so I just started to breathe in and out of my mouth. At one point, this man was breathing very loudly. And I was like, okay, that's kind of annoying. Like, it kind of distracts me. Oh, wait, let me follow his rhythm. That will help me get into it faster. So I started following his rhythm. It was a bit faster than the rhythm I was following. Shortly after that, like, people were making noises. And, you know, I saw it again, like, that's kind of distracting. Like, I wish that people didn't have to do that. I don't really understand why. After my face started to tingle, my entire body started to tingle. And it's kind of that feeling when your body's falling asleep, like when your leg is falling asleep. It can be very uncomfortable. You want to shake it off. You want it to go away. You want your leg to wake back up. You don't want to feel that feeling anymore. When it happens to your arm, that happens too. So it was a very weird sensation that I kind of wanted to get rid of. And then it got worse. My hands and my wrists froze. They were like cringing, and I couldn't move them. So I was literally laying on the ground like this. Oh, it hurts just doing that motion. This hand is okay from it, but this hand is not okay because I have a cyst on the tendon. You can see the veins even moved because of it. The cyst is right here. I couldn't do it. I started to feel really bad pain in my wrist. It was stuck. I was trying so hard to move my hands back and I couldn't. This state of breath work sends you into almost a paralyzed state. And I wanted to warn people because I wasn't warned about that. I did not expect to be literally paralyzed. It hurt. At least it hurt this arm. But my legs also became paralyzed. Mind you, this is also a very amazing experience. I don't know, the pain was just a small, very, very small part of it. It's very spiritual. I started to understand why people were making noises because I started crying at some point for a very short amount of time. I think it was everybody else's energy around me started to be very overwhelming, and I started to kind of get flashbacks that like really affect me still. I wasn't nearly as loud as some other people in there. Some people were crying very loudly, some people were making very weird noises, and it honestly, like, eventually you get used to it and you're okay with it, and it's just an expression of human energy and feeling it. It's amazing. I decided to stop breathing in that rhythm because my hands were so frozen and I kept trying to bring them back. Eventually I sat up and I just tried to breathe normally to try to get my body out of that state so that I could move my hands. And then eventually another thing is, when your hand cramps up, you want to do this, right? I couldn't even do that. I looked so stupid. I felt like it wasn't doing anything. Like, I just needed it to go like this. And it was literally like, my hand was stuck. And it was scary. Came out of that, I could move my hands again. And then I got back into doing it. My hands weren't doing that again. I wasn't going to let them. I was sitting there with my hands like this so that they wouldn't be cramped up in that crazy position again. And this, even then, my hands were trying to pull away from this. And at one point I did this. Almost instantly, my arms fell asleep again. Started to go back into that state, so I pulled my arms back. After I cried a bit and got back into the calming, meditative state of it, the lady came over to me and put her hands on me and said, "How are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm good. But I have to pee though." I don't know what's wrong with me, but I peed before, and then I still had to pee in the middle of it. She was like, "That's totally fine." I was like, "Are you sure there's enough time?" She's like, "Yes, there's enough time. Trust me. Let me walk you to the door." And I was like, "Okay." I stood up, and she actually stood up with me. Like, she had her hand on my back and on my shoulder. And if she didn't, I would have fallen over. I was in such a deep state, and not even like I was in a deep state. My body, your body is in control at this point. But yeah, I walked to the bathroom. That's when I filmed this little clip here. I don't even want to vlog. I want to go back in. But yeah, I didn't really know how to describe anything. I still don't, and I'm kind of okay with that. I'd rather keep it to myself. I'd rather have that memory and that feeling and that place in here than try to share it with you. Obviously, I have some footage of the building. I would have loved to film the actual thing itself. You guys could see a bunch of people laying on the floor and moaning and making odd noises, and some people were laughing, some people were crying. Everybody had their eyes closed, so I didn't get to see it. So it would have been amazing to see that. But it's totally fine. But yeah, I just wanted to say how amazing the experience was, how happy I am to have been to Boulder and to have been to this place. I don't want to say the location because we're not supposed to film in there, so I don't want to like blow up their spot. I'm so thankful to Rob for inviting me, even though it was totally out of random. We finally got to hang out, so it was really nice, and we had a lot of fun. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry if I left anything out. My iPhone storage just ran out, so I'm filming this last part on Snapchat. Whatever you're doing, have a good day, good night, good evening. Bye.
It's okay. I promise you. I'm just messing with you, man. I'm just messing with you. Thanks for being